Why are the teachers striking? Why are they allowed to do that?
Well, Emily, teachers are all part of a group called a union. If they're not happy with how they're treated, they can protest.
But are strikes a bad thing? They don't get paid while they're striking.
Sometimes the opportunity to gain better pay outweighs not working during the strike. I can remember when my grandma and grandpa were still alive. There was a great strike by the One Big Union in Winnipeg.
Talk about obvious. Is it as obvious as it sounds? I mean, one big group of all the unions?
Yes, it was composed of unions, people not included in the unions, and unemployed or injured veterans. And they had lots of reasons too.
Why would the veterans want to strike? They had just finished the war.
Well, the veterans didn't have pensions, and neither the widows of the dead nor the injured received compensation. And the veterans that came back from the war didn't have jobs to go to.
Why do you get so worked up when you talk about the veterans?
Those veterans. I remember him going on about how, because of the war, the labor unions agreed to reduce their pay as their patriotic duty to the war. Do you want some tea?
Sure.
Then, when the war ended, even their original wage couldn't cover their living expenses. And let me tell you this, not all groups suffered in the war effort. Employers and businessmen reaped the rewards.
So why were there so little jobs?
Well, when the men, like my grandpa, went to war, the jobs needed to be filled by the women who stayed behind. Therefore, when the men returned, their jobs weren't available anymore. And it wasn't like the women could be kicked out.
Either way, I bet the workers wouldn't be very happy with their employers. So what did they do anyways?
Striking started with the metal workers and the building workers. The two unions in Winnipeg protested. People wanted higher wages, better working conditions, and the right to join unions.
How was your day today, Father?
The uneducated and incompetent workers are littering my day. My workers have walked off the job, not that I care. I can just hire more filth from the city. So many lazy, illiterate people without jobs, so little time.
The government should put a stop to all this. These communist ideas are ruining our reputation.
So when did they actually create this one big union?
In March of 1919, at the Western Labour Conference, the Trade and Labour Council called for a general strike. They called themselves the One Big Union and represented all the workers in Canada. Because of the strike, Winnipeg was shut down.
What did the employers do?
They created a group called the Citizens Committee of 1000, consisting of business leaders, politicians, and industrialists. The government suspended the Immigration Act, enabling the government to deport the leaders of the One Big Union that were immigrants from other countries.
What did you say? Let go of me, you're filthy! What did you say to me?
On the 24th of June, strikers paraded for their rights. Mounted and special police showed up with clubs and pistols. They charged the crowd and killed one striker and injured 30.
So what was the point? What did they get out of it? I mean, did the workers go back to work?
Yes, they were forced to by the police. Also, 7 of the leaders of the strike went to prison from 2 months to 2 years. Many of the strikers were fired, and the ones who were rehired were forced to sign contracts swearing not to join the unions. The government started an inquest as to why the strike started, and found out that the reasons were valid. A number of leaders went into politics to finish the dream of creating the social reform. In fact, that's how the NDP was founded.
Well, at least we got something good out of that.